admit them.
Recording. Okay. I believe we're live.
We are. It just takes a couple of seconds for people to log in. So I'll go share my screen.
You're looking well, Jackie.
Thank you.
And
Starting to feel normal.
You've COVID has come and gone, and you look, there you go. You're now bulletproof. You've been vaccinated, and you've got the natural vaccination.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Okay. Let's see.
You're on the presenter view.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Just checking if how people are coming in. All right. You can probably start recording now, or are you already recording?
How do you? I think it sort of said recording, but how do I check that? I'll get out of your. Oh yeah, recording. Yeah, it's recording.
Great. Okay. Here we go. Ready. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our, what is it, fourth or fifth? I forget which one. I think it's a fourth.
Fourth.
Rocket Work
Fourth.
Webinar session, which are all sessions that have come from our live event that was in Singapore a month ago. And so this one is really interesting. The next couple are very interesting. We're looking a bit forwards with these ones. We've got Prof, or Dr. D, whatever you like to call him. He'll be talking about the metaverse and the hospitality industry. So this caused a bit of discussion at the event, and we'll probably do so again, I hope. And and then in 2 weeks' time, we're talking about attribute-based pricing, which that was a really good session. We got good feedback from as well. So that's the two sessions we've got left. Let's go through. So that one's 27th of July, and then the last one is good as well, really good. Don't know which one to recommend, but yes, Ivy from Hilton will be talking about using consumer data in an integrated way to drive decisions. So she's talking about how they've got all their data in one place and how they use that and how beneficial it is. So don't miss that one as well. Okay, so that's the agenda. I'll do a bit of an update with HSMAI. This is our fourth one, so I gather everyone knows who we are. I'll do less of who we are and more of all the things we've got upcoming, because there's so much coming up soon. So really quickly, Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International. The acronym is HSMAI. It's hard to say, but sometimes it makes you remember it more, right? It's a non-profit industry association that acts like a professional society. So individuals are members. We focus on revenue, sales, marketing, and there's leadership as well from all levels of hospitality, from entry level up to masters. This is a bit out of order of what I normally do it, sorry. So benefits when you receive when joining. HSMAI do certifications. We do loads of industry events, which you're at one now. We have a lot of marketing intelligence and revenue management, lots of best practice. There's training workshops, there's online courses. So there's a lot involved with what you get, and networking. You get to meet other senior leaders. So there's a lot involved. We'd really like to explain more about membership benefits, and we will be in the next few weeks as well. So please come and join us. We do events in 8 markets at the moment in Asia Pac. So you can see the list there. This one's for the whole of Asia Pac. The next classes, the next ones that are coming up, we're doing some master classes, and again we're featuring Dr. D, Detlev. So there's one about building your commercial acumen. There's a using content to maximize conversion. And then there's a total revenue forecasting one. And that's kind of your first step to doing total revenue management. So don't miss that one, because then we'll follow it up with the second step and the third step, we hope, with more classes later on. So yeah, that'll be a great one too. Really exciting. We've got an in-person event coming up, which is our digital marketing conference in Phuket, in Thailand, in the middle of September. There's a half-day marketing conference, and then there's a 2-day workshop, which is digital revenue workshop for resorts. So that's really exciting. So if you're around that region and you can pop into Phuket, please come and visit us there. That's free for members, by the way, to go to the half-day event, and then you get a much lower price if you're a member for the 2-day workshop. Then after that, we're turning to sales and mice. So we're looking at different markets. So C-Event will come along as well and give you some data from the event planners in your region. So that's why we've split it up into separate regions. We're normally doing these at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in Singapore and Thailand time, but somebody told me that I'm interfering with middle hour, and that's really not what I should be doing. So please get on the chat and tell me if you'd rather have the Southeast Asia one at a different time than 12 o'clock in Bangkok and 12 o'clock in Bangkok and 1 o'clock in Singapore, and we will change it. Now's your chance to get the time changed. In India, we've got a couple of things coming up. There's a power breakfast on the 28th. And then later in October, there's a 2-day revenue training workshop. So that'll be great both in Delhi. If you can't go to any of those places, there's an online revenue management course, and you get a certificate for that. So you can go online to hsmaiacademy.org to find out about that. So I'll introduce you to the other 2 members of my team. Sonia Singh is the Managing Director for HSMAI India. She's here, wave, Sonia. And Glenn is Managing Director, Southeast Asia. So welcome them. And
hello, everyone.
Say hi. No.
Hello, everyone.
Now, during the webinar, if you have a question, please use the Q&A or the chat, and build up your questions. Metaverse is something no one has the answers to. So I expect to see a lot of questions or a lot of thoughts come through on the Q&A in the chat this time. You know, nobody knows the answer and everyone's got a different perspective. So we'd really like to hear your perspective. So I'll hand you over to Dr. Detlev Remy, Associate Professor at Singapore Institute of Technology, and he will take over from here. You're ready, Detlev?
Thank you very much. And let me just put it there. I think it's good to go. Okay, first of all, I have to apologize. My voice, I caught a flu or a cold or COVID. I don't know yet what it is. At the moment, the test is negative, but let's, fingers crossed, let's hope it stays negative. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Metaverse, definitely a buzzword, discussed in many industries, not only hospitality industry, but also in healthcare, education, banks, etc., etc. So it's a bit of buzzword, and many people have very own ideas about metaverse. That there's one metaverse, and then you can go from one to the next, etc., etc. And that Facebook is a metaverse at this stage, etc., etc. And it's much more complicated. But of course, also as it's a buzzword, there's some content behind this, and there's some importance, relevance behind this. So it has opportunities. Maybe not in the short term, but maybe in medium, respective long term. Let's look at some aspects. First of all, who I'm delivering this topic. I'm now here in Singapore since 6 years. Great place, by the way. Singapore Institute of Technology. We are one of the new kids of a block, newest university in Singapore. I am coming from a marketing background. I focus very much on revenue management, and also new technologies. I have, this is my first career, and I guess it's my last career. The end is near. I am worked in the first both careers in the hospitality industry and consultancy for the breweries and tourism, hospitality enterprise, etc. And have clients Germany, Ireland, Indonesia, Singapore, and Cambodia, etc., etc. Good. Let's look at the subtopic as such. We start with the basic and also in certain maybe basic requirements for a fully functioning metaverse, VR, AR, respective MR, XR. We talk about bit at NFTs, which is also part of metaverse. When we look at the metaverse itself and we look at critical factors, what the platform model entails and how does it work, functionality, etc. And of course, the most important aspect for our industry, how to utilize and how to monetize the metaverse. We have few examples of hospitality businesses, some hotels and some restaurant chains. They are showing some presence in the metaverse, in different metaverses. And at the moment, I would say it's still a good chance to burn money. But of course, you might also have a first mover advantage. So if you have a kind of strategy, and this would be, by the way, a topic for another webinar series, how to really make it work, how to implement strategies, tactics, whatever. But a time frame of about 60 minutes is way too short for this. So just an overview about this and outlining some possible opportunities to utilize to monetize the metaverse. Let's start with augmented reality. I think all of us should know it, Pokemon Go and using Google Glass, whatever. It is really the integration of digital information or objects into the subject perception of the physical world. It means you are not in a different or another or in a virtual world only. It's really mixing together real with the virtual world, which is exciting. Maybe has also some side effects and maybe also some danger, but it is promising. And you realize also we need some technical support. We need software, we need hardware, Google Glass, etc. So it's not that you just enter and then it's done. Now, the next one, virtual reality. And I think all of us also have experienced this. I have experienced a couple of times, and it's rather exciting. Once you are in this so-called cave, once you are decoupled from real life, and you don't have a focus or reference point anymore, you have this real feel of immersion. And it's exciting. Some people like it more than the others, but it's rather exciting. But of course, it is not that you're in the real world anymore as such. Yes, you are in the real world, you sit there or you move around, whatever, but your brain and your movements are in the virtual world. So the question is, can we call this then still the immersion from real to virtual world? I have my concerns. For me, it's a second world, and we have to separate this very clearly. And of course, you need to have technical equipment. We need to have software, hardware, headsets, and it goes on. We nowadays have haptic gloves, etc., to get this really feeling of being fully immersed in a virtual world. So what's the difference between AR and VR? And I'm not talking that much about XR and MR, because this is more or less also the combining AR and VR. Virtual reality is a simulated experience using technical equipment, headset, etc. And it's a completely virtual environment, which looks extremely realistic. And that's an important point. We come back to this later, discussing metaverse. If you have seen virtual reality or have experienced virtual reality, it is amazing how real it looks. And when you see the metaverse sometimes at the early stage, it is amazing how unreal it works, it looks. So VR, it's very advanced, and if I look at the participants, I know some of the participants for this webinar, some of my alumni students, very welcome, by the way, and they're all young, lucky you, and most of them have this interest of gaming. And if you are coming from the gaming scene, you know that it's amazing how well they are performing in terms of virtual reality, and in terms of creating a real virtual world which looks almost one-to-one to real world. Augmented reality is really combining or enhancing the actual reality by adding graphs, information, objects, etc. to your real world. NFT, and it's amazing. If I remember, I was talking about NFT at the HSMI conference a couple of weeks ago, and it was already at this stage where you could see it going south, and now it's going very much south. It's really down. It doesn't mean that's bad. It doesn't mean it has not its existing or it has not its relevance. But we have to separate the part which is based on speculation and money making and quick money making, and then the more realistic part where we can take advantage of the technology behind this, which is blockchain. Now, non-fungible tokens, a unique unit of data stored on a blockchain, can be sold, traded, and NFTs allow businesses to create a digital proof of ownership. Now you see here examples. We have this Bored Ape and all this wonderful example. The prices are a bit crazy. For me, the best example ever for NFT, and to show you just the risk, maybe also opportunities. I think one of the first emails sent was also tokenized and sold as an NFT. I think 1 or 2 years ago for about $30 million US. And now the buyer has tried to sold it the last month, and the last offer is $30,000 US. So from 30 million down to 30,000, that means something, isn't it? So it is a bit questionable, all these applications of NFTs, which are highly speculative, whatever. Let's move on with NFTs, because there is a case of the use case. So how to use them, which makes sense and has a solid fundament. For example, use them as tickets, tours, activities, experience. You can use them as tickets and a membership card to get access to exclusive club and events, all such things, with the advantage that you have overcome this issue of fraud. And yeah, you prevent fraud because it's on the blockchain. You can track this, you can trail back, though most information is anonymized. So it's a quite secure way for issuing smart digital tickets. Is it costly? Not really. Is it a handling issue? Not really, although you have to apply the technology of blockchain. What is a good thing, and so I have to move a bit towards blockchain. Blockchain is decentralized. That means it's a kind of consent model where people all over the world, you say, okay, I'm mining, I'm tracking, etc. I put my computer capabilities on front, and of course we get also kind of reward, to build a system, larger system, blockchain. And as this is decentralized amongst many parties, there's almost, you have to say almost no chance for fraud, or that you can delete a transaction between, etc. That's the huge advantage. Of course, there are also disadvantage of blockchain. It's still in infancy. It is issue also of energy consumption. So we have to be a bit careful about this. But yesterday was an interview of MAS, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, in the Straits Times, and MAS and also other banks and central banks think very much about blockchain, and which includes later an NFTs as a digital unit, in order to speed up processes, to decentralize, and to have more cost-effective ways of transaction handlings. So it's NFTs, and that way it makes sense. Let's look at some use cases from our industry. Marriott Bonvoy, the loyalty program of Marriott Hotels, has created 3 NFTs in 2021, collaboration with some digital artists, Power of Travel campaign. Okay, so launched at Miami at an art gallery, and as far as we know, nobody appears to have bought them. Now, We have other examples, Hotel Lancaster in Paris, always clever to link it to a social campaign in order to create a range of sustainable NFTs to support green mining, to remove tons of plastic waste from Brazil. And here it's another, I guess, a reason for customers to buy into this idea, because there's a good cause behind this. We have here examples also from Singapore. Recently, I was invited to a launch of a new co-living space, and they also created NFTs for sale, which allows you access to their real premises and to their virtual premises, kind of metaverse as well, and some other benefits. Now, at this stage, we might think it's gimmicks, and it might be gimmicks, but it could be a starting point and first mover advantage with this. And of course, also, we should not forget that we, as I say, we, and I mean myself only, because we other participants looking quite young and I'm quite old. For us, it's a bit really gimmick wise, but for the younger ones, and especially if you look at the Generation Z and the people from the gaming scene, for them, it's nothing new. For them, it's quite an ordinary system, you know, up to the payment system, blockchain-based crypto and NFTs. So they are growing up with this and they take it for granted. So it's maybe the future. We don't know at this stage. Here you see some examples, use cases for travel community. You see the loyalty program, application for loyalty program. And this is, by the way, an interesting fact, as a ticketing is one aspect which I think NFTs plays an important role, and more important role than ever, in terms of cost efficiency, in terms of overcoming fraud issues. Same for loyalty programs, definitely an interesting thing. And you can program, and that's also important, you can program each NFT, a digital unit, a token, you can program it. It means you can add benefits or some values, whatever. That's definitely much more than you can do with existing means so far. When we have airline loyalty, here's some airlines, United Airlines, Baltic, but also you see it's used as digital collective. Another time, digital collective for VIP rewards. Of course, also people want to get nice rewards, something exciting, something unique, something new. So it's a quite good mean for this. And when we see even this use of NFTs for vaccine passports or vaccine certificates, also in terms also to overcome fraud, because now these QR codes can be relatively easily be copied and therefore abused. NFTs, let's say, almost not. I'm always critical. There's always a small loop, and we'll see also later example of Metaverse where we see that people can play the game if I want to do so. Good, Metaverse. What is it all about? To create a vast virtual environment where new kinds of interaction, new kinds of B2C and B2B commerce are possible. On the other hand, as exciting as it is and as new as it sounds and the buzzwords, we have had it. I don't know who remembers. I remember the times of Second Life. I wasn't there. I was always skeptical towards such things. Friends of mine have been there and they love it. And so it's of course, it's different from as it was in the past. Nowadays, it's much more interactive, much more advanced, etc. But the basic idea is more or less the same. Now, what has supported Metaverse growth, or the discussion about Metaverse, definitely was this 2 or almost 3 years of COVID, when people have been locked into their home places, etc. So there's a lot of time, to move into their virtual worlds, etc., etc. So, and then the idea was, of course, if people are there, then we doing business should be there as well. The question, that's legitimate. There's nothing wrong. If people, customers, potential customers are there at a certain place, wherever it is, it makes sense to follow them, to say, here we are, and please pay attention. We are also of interest for you, blah, blah, blah. All such things. That's okay, as long as you have a clear strategy in mind why you are there. To be just there, that you are the first one there, it's not really a strategy, I think so. But if you are there to reach out to new generations in terms of branding, in terms of promotion, raising brand awareness, all such aspects, that's fine, as long as the strategy behind this, then you maybe take some money into your hands and are doing so. Two working definitions. First one from Facebook. Guess well know, Metaverse is a set of virtual spaces where you can create, explore with other people who aren't the same physical space as you. You're able to hang out with friends, work, play, learn, shop, create, and more. Or the other one, 3D virtual shared world, where all activities we can carry out with the help of augmented virtual reality service. Now, just to be, and that's me, I'm super critical. I'm not against Metaverse, not at all. I love the idea. I'm a marketing guy. Everything new, and in terms of technology and any new developments are definitely appreciated, but we have to be careful in terms of application and usage. We have, I cannot remember the name. It's a US hotel. There's a hotel in the US which is focusing only on Metaverse customers. So you check in physically. But there's, you check in physically in terms of a key card, whatever, all automated processes. It means you are not having any personal contact with somebody, check in, check out, whatever. And you go to the room is quite naked. It's not really that much furniture. And when the idea is you have your laptop, you have your internet access, and you immerse into this metaverse. And then you have a drink with your colleagues. You are based in New York and your colleagues are based in Paris or Amsterdam, whatever. You have a drink and you have your food stuff, you have dinner, whatever. Now, that's where the over promote this. For me, it's just a question, sounds too good to be true, right? Because somebody has to serve a drink, somebody has to serve a food. Then you have to overcome the time difference and all such aspects, you know? And how real is it in the long term that you say, okay, I don't need this physical contact, I need to not this smell, blah, 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 all those five senses. I'm okay with this. That's the question we cannot answer at this stage. If you look at the Metaverse, we look at the first stage, the traditional internet, including social media, but also Second Life, you know, the hardware, the transaction which could take place there, the goods which are traded there, the identity, and of course, ownership and copyright issues. We have more issues to add on, data protection, data privacy, ethics, etc. But I keep it, in the interest of time, I keep it short. The current in the middle, you see the current virtual reality worlds, like you see in Decentraland or the gaming platforms, Fortnite, Roblox, Sandbox. You see the hardware needed, monitor, mobile device, VR, the transaction via cryptocurrency, digital wallets. Goods are then NFTs, and you have identity, one avatar within each platform. Very important point. At the moment, you have one avatar which in each platform. If you move from one Metaverse platform to the next Metaverse platform, you have to create another avatar. You cannot move an avatar with you. Big issue, because it sounds already at this stage that you, let's say you are going to Decentraland, whatever, a Gucci store, you buy there a nice Gucci jumper or whatever. And you dress up with a Gucci jumper and all the nice things you can buy there for money. You cannot use this in another platform. It's not possible yet. And that means you see what we see at the moment, Metaverse is quite limited. Yeah. The true Metaverse, where we aim to go for, is when you have a simultaneous access via mixed reality, experience reality as a augmented reality and virtual reality. You use cryptocurrency, digital wallets for payment, although we will maybe see an option B. NFTs are the traded goods. You have one avatar across the platforms. That's important, but you really can move smoothness and seamless from one platform to the next one. When we have a true metaverse, it's not one metaverse, there might be several ones, but they are interconnected. And that's important, because what's the point if you are locked within one platform, let's say a gaming platform, but you want to experience, you want to go shopping, you want to meet friends which are another platform. You can't move your avatar. It's a serious limitation. So, but I'm quite optimistic that we will see a solution once upon a time, maybe 2 major players, maybe 3 or 4, but I think that's it. Let's move on. Platforms, as I said, at the moment, we really have 2 different platform models. One are the classical, I call it classical gaming platforms. And then the others created social platforms or really commercial platforms, social commercial platforms. Okay. Now, the gaming platforms, in my mind, have a huge advantage. They have already a huge bunch of kids there. They are kids, some adults as well, but they are youngsters, whatever. They're already there. They know they have to enter, to access, to have a headset, and then they get the full experience. And the best thing is they know they have to pay. They have to pay and they get also rewarded. So the whole chain, what is needed from access to payment, rewarding system, transaction, etc., is already covered there very well. So I would see the gaming platform have a huge advantage at this stage. Facebook, Meta, and commercial platforms, Decathlon, etc., GatherTown, I'm not so sure how well they are doing, although they have the financial dollar muscles, whatever. So let's see. We can't say at the moment. You see here also nice infograph, the kind of 4 platform models we can foresee, respective we see already. Either blockchain backed up on the bottom and then without VR, or to the right with VR applications. And the non-blockchain platform models, again, without VR, here, Roblox, Second Life, etc., Fortnite, and to the right with VR applications. Now, which one? Nobody knows at this stage, but we know one thing for sure. We cannot keep it going like this. Too many platforms will definitely mitigate a real progress in development of Metaverse. So there are a couple of opinions and experts' opinions, which platform will make it. For example, saying here that the 4 major platforms are Sandbox, Decentraland, CryptoVoxels, and Somnium Space. They will make it. Nobody knows for sure. It depends, especially now in these times where we see, this perfect storm, out of post-COVID inflation and Ukraine war. So we don't know at the moment what's really going on. But I would say for sure, Metaverse will grow. Question is, which platform? And even if you see 2 or 3 platforms, will we see once the integration of the platforms, that you can move from one platform to the next without any big access issues or re-entry, or the worst thing, which cannot move your avatar with you? Payment system, mostly blockchain-based payment, cryptocurrency. We will see if we will maybe see a plan B that is going back to more traditional payment because of the problems we face now, we're still facing of cryptocurrencies. We will see, insofar the trust factor has been damaged. Nobody can say at this stage. Now, functionality. I just can recommend to you, in the interest of time, I think we are good. In the interest of time, I don't think we have time to go through this, but there are a couple of hotels having already created a Metaverse presence, and one is Rio Plaza España, Madrid. Beautiful hotel, by the way, beautiful hotel. So they have created a Metaverse presence, and the access is quite simple or quite difficult. I tried, but it was taking too much time, and I said, no, I don't have the time. And as I'm a professor at the university, I don't have admin rights. I cannot just download the software. I have to ask for permission. And if I tell my president, dear president, I want to visit the Metaverse, I want to see a nice hotel there, you might say, Prof. Remy, are you sure it's a great idea that you spend your time there with such things? He might say so. No, at SIT, we don't say such things. We are very supportive of Metaverse and all such things. But for me, I don't have the time for such things. And it's a tedious process for one Metaverse. We talk about one Metaverse, in this case, Altiverse. So Altspace, it's for every other, more or less the same. Not easy, but it's manageable. And the result then is that you see here, hotel example, Citizen M Social, or Rio Plaza España. Okay. Now, M Social has bought real estate as a virtual estate on Decentraland at a hefty price tag. I know the price tag, I don't tell anybody, but it was a good one. They say it's good purpose, first mover advantage, whatever, and they say especially with our M-Social, which is aiming for Generation Z and Generation Millennials target markets. So it's good to be there where they are. Okay, fair enough. Citizen M has not yet built a hotel. They have already a presence there. They're trying now to selling NFTs to get the start material, you know, to build a virtual estate in the metaverse. And Rio is another example, as already outlined. What they say at the moment, what's the purpose and objective of this? It's about branding, raising brand awareness, promotions, and also building loyalty. That's all good. I just would like to raise at this moment a quite interesting question. If we talk about Generation Z, and let's talk about many of them coming from the gaming scene, and they love to spend their time there gaming with friends all over the world, and they love to spend hours and hours in the metaverse. That sounds exciting, right? To be there then as well. But my question is, would we not maybe miss out one important point? If they prefer this metaverse or their second life against any real life experience, do we have any chance to get them once into our hotel? I don't know, but I would like to raise the question because it's a good question. Is there really a match between those which are so fascinated by the new technologies, by the immersion and all these experience factors that would be there? Would these one for us a target market? I'm not so sure about this. Anyway, let me try if I can play the video out for you. Otherwise, I would encourage you to look at this. It's quite fascinating. Let me try. Please, Glenn, could you help me if you see this, if it's working and you can hear me? Is it audio?
Not yet. Can't hear anything yet, Detlev.
Okay, we have to work on this. Oh, what is
Right.
it?
I'll take myself off mute. No, we can't see anything at this stage, Detlev. Oh, hang on. We can hear it.
Okay, have a look, please.
We can't see anything, Detlev. We can only hear.
Yes.
Welcome to the Rio Plaza España
Detlev, we
Hotel.
can't see anything.
Wait, you can't?
We can't see anything, so we might need to skip on from that because
Well,
we're
you
not
might need to
seeing
share
anything on the screen, but we can hear it.
Maybe share your screen again when you're on the screen.
Can you see my screen again?
We can see your slide.
Yeah, we can see your mouse moving. I can see. We can see
can see your slide.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can see the presentation, but I think the YouTube link will open once you shut down the presentation.
Okay, apologize, but please, I heard that HSMI make this slideshow available. Please
Yes.
take you some time and watch the YouTube video of this metaverse experience. It's quite interesting. It looks great. It looks great. I can really recommend to look at this. Although I thought as a marketer, I miss there more experience. I miss where it was quite empty, by the way. It was very empty. It was just furniture, whatever. So I miss more the hospitality aspect, whatever. Anyway, now what is the utilizing of metaverse? What is the promise? The promise is to provide unique and virtual experience, but also offering complementary metaverse experience. The question here is, as I said, I'm a bit critical about such things. The question here is, what is meant by this complementary metaverse experience? what is the idea behind this? That means you have to come up with content, right? And you have to come up also with kind of network experience. If you are experienced on your own, there's no need, you can also watch a video, right? So you have to create many opportunities, not only content, but also network opportunities, etc. So it's a challenge on its own, but fascinating. Okay. And of course, with this, hotels could also then offer services allowing their customers to meet, interact in a virtual environment, etc., etc. And we see this already. We see academic conferences or industry conferences in the metaverse where people gather at a certain time period and have their avatar there and dress up nicely, or maybe not so nicely, whatever, and interact, whatever. Yes, in a certain way, it's more exponential than having a Zoom meeting or an MS Teams meeting. It's more action, more interaction. But for me, I was once attending one metaverse conference. For me, it's still very, I always say, a bit like Lego system. You know, it's not really mirroring the reality as I wish to have it. If you look at the gaming platforms, that's almost fantastic there. So not that great, but the future is bright. Yeah. Now, monetizing metaverse, big aspect. What could be done, or what could we in our industry do to monetize the metaverse? Sales as a virtual malls for merchandise or any tangible products, but also used for branding promotions. Then a big aspect, and we know it since about 5-10 years, gamification, play to earn games, especially the younger ones like this system. Designing 3D accessories for users. What we have seen, you go to Four Seasons, you can buy a hat there, or you can buy a t-shirt from Four Seasons or from Shangri-La, whatever. So you can have the same, just it's a 3D accessoire. You can sell it at a certain price, NFT based. Good stuff. And yeah, there are people buying this. It's interesting. It's, for me, very interesting, because I would never think about this, such an idea. But I'm old, I'm not relevant. The youngsters, they love this idea to have a Gucci jumper or Gucci shoes dressed up for the avatar. Amazing how you can make money out of such things, okay? Create, monetize VR games, again, gamification aspect. Conduct metaverse events with paid tickets. We see it already. It could be concerts. I have read recently about a wedding. You can have a wedding in the metaverse. How exciting is this? To not to even touch your wife or husband, but to get married. Anyway, if people like it, why not? And maybe you can also say 3 times bye-bye, and that's it. Exciting, but live events, concerts, and any type of this, but also for the MICE industry, definitely a good platform, especially in these times where travel is still a big mess. You know the stories from Europe and US with all the queues and the airports, and nobody really likes to travel at the moment. So it will go on a certain time, and for the MICE industry, definitely an interesting aspect. And of course, also you can trade 3D NFTs. As I said, last week I was invited by a co-living space operator here in Singapore. They are doing so. We will see how it works out if we find people willing to invest in this. I think at the last weeks, taking account the last weeks with really the cryptocurrencies and NFTs going south, maybe people think twice at the moment, but it might come back in the long term. We will see. Big aspect of monetizing metaverse is the aspect of real estate. And we have seen, we see transactions where we see businesses buying virtual real estate. We see it. And not the small business, but really well-known names, PwC, etc., etc. Now, why are they doing so? First of all, they have something in mind. They say, if there are my future customers, if there is a certain traffic, and I will be there, and I will be at the place of traffic, then I get the attention and creating brand awareness and so on, or maybe even relationships. So it makes sense, depending on the industry setting where we are coming from. As I said, M-Social has bought virtual real estate. Citizen has not bought. And it's a difference because the prices up to now are quite high to buy virtual real estate. And the promise and it's a promise, let's face it as it is, right? The promise is this issue of scarcity, right? So they say, yeah, in virtual reality, the amount of land is potentially unlimited, but we have limits on the amount of land, so we enforce a kind of artificial scarcity. So they say so, but yeah, do we can trust them, and should we trust their promise? I am not so sure about this. We will see. Same with Bitcoin, right? The promise of Bitcoin is also you can mine just to a certain amount, and then it's a cap, and then no more. Or the promise of gold, right? There's just a finite amount of gold, and if it's gone, it's gone. So the value is keeping a certain level. So let's hope for it, although it is, the truth is another one. Therefore, I would say in a certain way, we can trust them a bit. It is not that they can easily add more land, they can, but should they do so, they wouldn't do so, because it's to have the land in the right place, in the right position, where traffic is. There's a shopping mall with all the big players, and if you are there and around, that means it's kind of billboard effect, then it's fine, and then it makes sense. And it doesn't make sense to have any virtual real estate far away, where there's no traffic, nobody can find you, and so there's no need to think about this in terms of endless supply of virtual real estate, because it's just there where the traffic is. So maybe not that bad. Although I see, yes, I see the billboard effect. I see also that we have a chance to reach out to the younger generation we might not address anymore with our modern marketing means, but there's always a but. So what are the challenges dealing with the metaverse? It's not easy at all. We have to look at this and be aware of this before we just jump on the bandwagon, right? Lack of content. What is the content we would like or we should provide there? Yes, issue of gamification, always done. And by the way, it's done way better than we could ever think about this. If you look at the big giants in this gaming space. When we have lack of standardization, too many platforms, as already outlined. Big issue, although I would say future is bright. Misconceptions, headset off and off you go. No, headset on and off you go. It's not that easy. If you want to have a really full metaverse experience, you have to have the right hardware, the right software technology supporting this. So it's not that it's that tricky. Once you have done so, you can really say I'm there, but you are in one metaverse, and all the specifications of the software technical equipment might be just for this one metaverse, not necessarily for the other one. Think about just the issue with the avatar. Structure of the metaverse is decentralized, so there's not really a central authority controlling any aspects of exchange information, etc. For example, hate speech, all such things. There's nobody really looking at this. And human being per se, it's bad. We, not all of us, but most of us are bad people. You know, we are sometimes very bad. You know, we harass people and whatever, and all such things. There was also a nice report last days in a I think Financial Times about metaverse. You know, the amount of harassment, we are bullying, whatever. It's brutal. It's really come to a level where we are almost crying for a controlling authority. And the next of this is privacy issues, data protection, identity hacking. Whatever you're doing, if you go for social media, but if you go nowadays for metaverse, even more, release some identity details, right? And the protection level here is no, there's no protection level at all at the moment. We are lacking a kind of consent or agreement between different platform providers to ensure a minimum level of data protection, not yet there. So lack of regulation and laws and lack of best practice, of course, as well. And for me, a bit funny thing, although it's not funny for those which experiences health concerns, VR hangovers or post-VR sadness. Also for me, I am sad if the day comes to an end and I have to go to bed. But these guys, the young guys playing, they are sad if they have to stop because they should sleep and they have to go to school the next day or university, whatever, you know. So my sadness character or amount is a different one from the youngsters. But these are really health issues. By the way, the next issues, you see it already in Singapore, you see it all over the world. people walking along the street with their mobile phone in front of them. They don't look, they don't look left, they don't look right, and they don't look backwards, and they just go along like an alien. And with this virtual reality and augmented reality, it might be even getting more scarier. You don't want to be a bus driver, you don't want to be a car driver, because you kill them several times a day, right? So it's a bit scary to see this young aliens going around there once it's established. Max Starko, industry expert, well known all over the world, and also professor, adjunct professor at my previous university, makes a very good point. And I put this as a whole there. Is a metaverse a perfect universe for misanthropes and germophobes? In other words, people who don't want to meet, mingle with, communicate in person with other people. Only time will tell. Or at this time, the metaverse, antithesis of travel. Travel is about indulging. Oh, sorry, I'm too quick. It's about indulging your 5 senses: taste, smell, touch, hearing, sight. And at the moment, we can experience just 2 of this, hearing and sight. I think it's an important point. I have read another article's discussion around the metaverse before I was preparing this slideshow for this today's webinar. And there's a discussion, will metaverse and virtual reality and mixed reality ever replace travel as it is, as we have got to know this? And the majority say no way. For most people, no. But you have to look also at certain developments in certain countries. For example, in Japan, I don't know what the right term for this. It's a small niche of people, not only young people, also older people, which don't want to leave a home. They don't want to communicate with others. They live in their own world, not metaverse, in their own world. So we have this. And my major concern is, as I also teach to my students, we are already lacking communication skills. And this doesn't make it easier, because you can easily go for any other way of communication in the metaverse. And is not what makes us human beings, that we communicate and also apply, of course, also our 5 senses. So I see it quite critical. Outlook, the moment, quite limited opportunities for the hotel industry, but there is a future. Much bigger opportunities for the MICE industry. And I was also having a laugh, as I have read an article that we should also think maybe to apply revenue management next in the metaverse. True, but it's very early stage, right? And a quite nice survey conducted. I try to put it here. Sorry, 2022 recent US survey. People are currently more likely to fear the metaverse than to be excited about it. But it's always the unknown, right? It's always the unknown, so it's not really that scary as such. Key takeaways. The metaverse is definitely an exciting development with a couple of opportunities. And we still don't know which platform model will make it, in order to have an idea where to focus on, where to be, and where to show presence, right? And the potential for monetization at this stage is yet uncertain. We don't know yet. Some aspects, yes, NFTs and MICE events, etc. But really the big potential to generate a ROI, it's a bit debatable at the moment. Yeah. So some final words before coming to the end. And I think I'm doing very well in time. I'm doing very well in time. Utilizing your metaverse, some final words. Stay curious. Look at all the developments, try to find it out. Watch your video, by the way. It's a nice video from the Rio Plaza España in Madrid. But also ask the why question. Why are people there? And why should we go there? And what are we doing then? Stay close to customer, learn from customers, because your customers dictate the developments, right? If they are there, if they spend time there, if they spend money there, we have to be there as well, isn't it? And observe other industries. We can so much learn from other industries, service industries, retail, banks, etc. They're doing sometimes a great job where we can just learn from this. That's it from my side, and I look already at the Q&A. There is a question there. Can I answer this live? Why would you visit hotel in the metaverse? Now, that's a good question, by the way. And even I would do so. I would visit hotel in the metaverse. Why? I would like to see, and it's possible nowadays, but it's still a cost. It's still a cost factor. It is still possible. It's possible now to go into a hotel to see the floors, to see the room features. Is a bathtub or is a shower there? How's the view from the window, and all such things. You can look at the lobby. You can look at my space, whatever. All this is possible to create already the metaverse. So the metaverse as experiential factor, but also as to get to know a hotel premise, yes, but it's quite expensive to create this. But it's getting cheaper and cheaper. Always in the beginning, everything was expensive, and once it scales up, it's getting more affordable. So yes, people all over the world might visit hotel in the metaverse, not to stay there, what for, but to experience this. And of course, the idea is in the not so far future, you go to a hotel, let's say Citizen M, and you meet even your friends there. You go to the cocktail bar, you look at the cocktail menu, you get maybe inspirations, although the cocktail itself is still a virtual one. It's not really having any impact on your body and your brain, etc., whatever. But yes, people will do so, that's for sure. So it's not, but it's...
Detlev, I have a question. I have a question for you, just quickly. I know we've only got a few minutes left and we're wrapping up. Do you think, I think AR is largely unexplored. It's still very in its infancy also. So do you think AR will sort of become mainstream and be adopted in a far more widespread way than it is currently prior? Because the metaverse looks, it's at least, between 5 to 10 years away before it gets any kind of real structure. But AR could be utilized now in terms of hotels offering, so a hotel in Rome saying, as you explore the streets of Rome, we offer you an extra feature of using your smartphone to learn more about the history of Rome and really integrating it into the guest experience.
Glenn, you already answered your own question. Yes, the answer is very clear and short to the point. Yes, AR definitely very much coming up in the future. It is, technology is there, not a big step anymore. It is very good method, to keep people in the real world and to add some components, to add also the best of both worlds, because VR means in a certain way you lose them. You lose them for a certain time aspect or time period. AR is good because AR supports, assists, sells, promotes. Great, definitely.
Correct.
I have a question to Professor D. Google is coming up with this immersive experience with maps, the next generation, where they say that you can actually not only look at the location, you can actually look at what is surrounding it, the shops, the stores, and, get in there. So is this part of the metaverse, or is it just AR? How do we define something like this?
That's unfortunately, it's AR, mostly in terms of AR, it's not metaverse.
Okay.
Metaverse is, and that's a tricky thing. So as I was discussing this with several people, several stakeholders, several other people in several seminars, so metaverse is really close to my heart. But metaverse, it's quite difficult to describe in a very short term. Metaverse, in a best case, metaverse is a world on its own. Yes, I know they say it's combining virtual and real world. It is not. As a metaverse is much closer to VR than AR, and Google's example is definitely AR practice.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I can't wait till I can go and check out the room and pick which room I want to stay in. And even better, which seat I want to sit on in the plane, because then I can see, how close really is the toilet, and can I reach the baggage carousel? Because I never can reach my baggage thing. I've got to stand on the seat to reach it.
I'd say that's a little while off.
And then the other thing is, think about Marina Bay Sands, right? The most Instagram hotel in the world. Can we all go up to the roof? Can we all go to the roof and see?
But
that sort of
thing.
thing.
Think about MBS. Yes, you might experience MBS in the metaverse, maybe even for free. But I tell you, the real experience, putting our beautiful body there in the swimming pool and watching at Singapore and shouting, "Good morning, Singapore."
Yeah.
You can't have it in the metaverse. Impossible.
I know, I agree with that, but it's kind of, it's the second best thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jackie, we got to do that Good Morning Singapore bit for next time.
Detlev, I think it would be great if you did a two, like a second session in a couple of months' time, because I think we've run out of time today. But when you go into the platforms and the 4 different types of platforms like Sandbox and Decentraland, etc., I think people need to understand that a little bit more. It's not just Meta and Facebook creating this all-encompassing metaverse. There's all these different platforms doing it, and how will they combine, and how will you move across? I think that's a really interesting aspect, and will give people a better idea and understanding of how this metaverse is sort of coming together, that there's not one ownership of this one space, right?
If I survive my flu or my cold or my COVID, if I make it the next weeks or so, we can discuss it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I still would like a bit more positivity there, Detlev. I will survive.
Yes, but no, it was a fantastic 1 hour with you. I certainly had the chance to sit down and listen properly and follow it. It was really interesting. Thank you.
But I have to tell the participants, because some of them might watch it then later in the evening, whatever, the next session with Professor Berzer Güllet, amazing, attribute-based pricing. This is also a very important aspect. Not miss out, seriously.
Oh, thanks. That's just what I was about to say. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yep. That's the not next week, 2 weeks session, isn't it? Oh, 1 week. The 27th of July, I should just say. That will be a great one, as Detlev mentioned.
Yeah.
So I hope we all can see you there. And thanks very much, Detlev, for all your time. If you'd like the slides, which will give you the links to the video and that sort of thing, then they'll be on that same platform that you got your link to log in here with. And shoot us a note if you can't find it. But thank you very much, and hope to see you all next week.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great session.
Bye. All right, so
Are we here for our next one, or do we get on to a different one?